today to our webinar Wisdom Wednesday because we changed it from podcast to webinar. We have an amazing guest today, which is Juan Carlos Silva. He is a LATAM startup and founder of a great company called Roombist. Obviously, we have Sia Mohi, our COO from CTI Staffing. And today we also have another guest, Gavi, which is our business development leader here at CTI Staffing. We are so excited for you guys to join us. We're just going to give it one more minute to see people coming and joining. And the people who are seeing us on live streaming right now, they can also join. And then we'll start soon. So if you have questions, please don't forget to ask the questions. Give it just a little more minute. Thank you, guys. We'll start soon. Awesome. Welcome, welcome, more people who are joining. We are also live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. So if you are on those social media channels, please go ahead and stay tuned because we're having a great discussion now. Let's just start today, guys. So, Sia and Juan Carlos, thank you so much for joining again. We're going to have a discussion today about the LATAM market and especially about you, Juan Carlos, your background and expertise as entrepreneur, co-founder, and how that obviously matches a lot of things with staffing and recruitment too, from the things that we do. So welcome, Juan Carlos, for being here. Can you please give us a little introduction about you, who you are, etc.? We want to hear you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Juan Carlos Silva. I am co founder at Roombeast. Roombeast is a travel tech company that's based in Santiago, Chile, but we have current operations in Colombia and a few, transactions in Mexico as well as Peru. We've been scaling up our business for the last 6 years. I was born in Santiago, Chile. I currently reside in Bogota, Colombia, where I am, personally making sure that everything works out. Different markets have different, challenges. So, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. So let's just start with a simple discussion. We just have already some, questions to you guys, and then obviously the people in that are watching us right now can ask their questions, and we'll address them at the end. Gabby will be the person in charge of the Q&A. So Gabby, just stay tuned and let us know if there's, a question popping up. So Juan Carlos, what really inspired you to start your company, and what were some of the biggest challenges you faced early on with Roombeast?
Well, I wish there was this like super inspiring story of, a dream or something, but I just started the company out of necessity. And I think that a lot of people do that. I was I had a job before that. I was the CEO for a company where I started as a salesperson. It was a project that I, devoted 5 years of my life, and that company, came to an end. It just um, ceased to exist, and I didn't know what to do after that. So, and I was 40, which is a point in life where most people know where they're going, know what they're doing, and that was my case. So, out of necessity, I spoke to a dear friend of mine that was, we worked together. He was my boss in a couple of companies. He actually fired me in one of them, which is another story. But and he had this company that he had been working at for like 8 years, and it wasn't really going anywhere. And I thought it was a great idea. And this guy, he was a very good salesman, and we had chemistry. We worked very well together. So he wasn't going anywhere with that company. He had problems with his business partners. He couldn't make any like CEO type of decisions. He only had like 5 or 6% of the company at that point, so he didn't have any actual power. He couldn't do anything. So he had all these great ideas, and he had no support to do it, no funding to do it. So and he was at that point, he was Gonzalo, my business partner. He was thinking about acquiring that other company, buying his business partners out. And I said, that's stupid. Let's not do that. Let's say, how much money is that going to take? 100. Okay, so 50 you, 50 me, and we'll start from
Right.
scratch. And that's what we did. Um, And that's how we founded Room Beast. It was a spin-off of a different company where I was going through a different, a difficult moment in my life. So was he. And out of necessity came this thing, and it turned into something that it's been one of the best things that we've done in our lives. So it's a pretty cool story.
Awesome. That is wonderful and is obviously a great story, So also we have some questions. Maybe this one is for Sia, related to also what Juan Carlos said. It's with your experience, Sia, in working with global teams, and Juan Carlos, what are some unique challenges that company face with remote talent and how to overcome them? I know majority of your people work remotely, Juan Carlos, so that's something super new. And if you want to talk about it, will be please go ahead. And then Sia, if you want to give your perspective about it too, please go ahead.
So, first thing I want to say is we're talking about remote and global, and I think one thing that is the same across the board is successful people normally find their success after a bad thing happens. And I don't think it matters where you are in the world. Like Juan Carlos, you're down in South America. We're here in North America. I mean, everybody's all over the place. But at the end of the day, you had a major hiccup. Like your company goes out, and you're like, well, hell, what am I going to do? And out of nowhere, now you've got a company that you've been curating for, you said 5 or 6 years now, which is incredible. And I think the same thing happened to me. I found myself in a terrible situation after 8 years of working for the same company, where I'm like, I'm stuck. I'm not growing, and it takes a big leap, and it takes what's the correct word to use, fortitude, right? It takes a lot of guts to make a hard decision and to make a change in your life. I feel like everybody's very comfortable being comfortable, and switching that up, getting out of your comfort zone, that's when great things can happen. It sounds like it happened for you. It's definitely happened to me as well. So I think when we're talking about global talent, you got to look for people who are looking to make a big change, and those are the kind of people that you can make something different, something great happen in your company. But when it comes to managing people globally, this is something that I think we've all, I mean, I've been getting used to it for the last couple of years since COVID. It's completely different. It's different when somebody can come sit into my office and we can have a conversation. I can read their mannerisms. I can see, is there something wrong at home? Is there
Right.
something on? You don't have that remotely. So it's one of those things that you kind of have to make it a point to make that investment in your people, and what your time is your investment. So I know I have a couple people at our company that I make sure I speak to a minimum 2 or 3 times a week, just because I'm investing my time in them, because I know that's the future of the company. I know those are the people that are going to grow the company with me. So if you're one of the people I'm spending a lot of time with, like, oh, okay, that's what it is. And it's a mindset that you have, because it's really easy to ignore somebody when they're not in front of you. It's being able to make that investment, spending the time with them, finding out where their shortfalls are, try to exploit what they're great at. Because then when they start seeing the success, you're going to see them develop to another level. They're going to have the confidence. They're not going to need you as much anymore. And then you see your conversations with them change from work to personal. And that's when things get a lot more fun. That's when you know you have something special. I hope that answered that question.
I mean, it's very true what you mentioned. I completely agree. Um, it's I think so many things in life are about your attitude, how you face them, how you. I mean, everybody knows that life isn't fair, right? I mean, how many people started a company and had the best intentions and did everything right, and it didn't work out right. So there's always um, there's always a degree of luck in everything. But I heard someone say the other day that when opportunity meets preparation, that's when you get luck, right? You have to be prepared. You have to be prepared, and you have to be willing to take risks. And what you mentioned before, see, I mean, there's there's this great quote by Robin Williams, the late great Robin Williams, and it goes something to the effect like, an empty stomach, a broken heart, and an empty wallet will teach you lessons that nothing else in life is going to teach you, right? So it's great to win, but when you really see what you're made of is when you're losing, right? Is when you're down. So it was. it was something that when, I mean, it's like anything in life. If you start working at something, or anything that you're interested in, it could be like, I don't know, a sport, or maybe a musical instrument, or maybe a hobby or anything. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it, right? So, and if your attitude towards, you know, life, and challenges, and the hardships of life, and the unfair things that will happen in life constantly, and if your attitude is just, to get back up and at it again, if that's your attitude, you will, you will prevail, you will win eventually. So it's something about the attitude that you have in life that is going to drive you further in life. That's something I believe in. And regarding the remote work thing, it also came out of necessity. I mean, in our company, a room beast, when we started remote was when the pandemic hit, right? So basically, it wasn't something of only like a health aspect. People could get sick or whatever. Like all that, but the market was, for my company, was not there. I mean, we were going out of business, right? So I couldn't afford to pay an office. Couldn't do that. So, and that also, after all the hardships, we started a company as soon as things started going well, and then this pandemic hit. So we had to pivot a lot of things. And one of the first things that we did was, trust our team, and we're going to have to move this forward, everybody from home. Today, working remote is like, oh man, it's so cool. And it has all these perks and all that. But at that point, it was, what are you guys doing? I mean, the first thing that when I felt that we actually started a company with Gonzalo, my business partner, was when we rented an office. Like, dude, this is our office. This is our new home for Room Beast. And we put our logo on the wall, and this was the place. You don't have that anymore, but you still have a company, right? So it changed a lot of things, in the way that how we thought, and you have to be able to adapt to things. If you don't adapt, you will die. So when they talk about survival of the fittest, it's just the guy that, or the animal, or the thing that adapts the quickest and learns how to pivot, or learns how to find another opportunity or another niche. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot of things that happen, but always, you have to be prepared. You have to know what you're talking about. You have to believe in what you do. If you don't believe what you do, there's no one else that's going to believe for you, right? So it's part of pushing a business, or pushing any project, anything in life. At least that's my opinion.
That's wonderful, and you're completely right, and I agree with you. We definitely need to adapt in order to survive, this pandemic, the coming ones, and the other challenges. So now let's talk about, you guys have, and you both bring different perspectives on the future of businesses, right? In general, maybe Juan Carlos, to you in the Latin region, but also for Sia in all the Americas region. What do you see as the key trends shaping the startup ecosystem, and how companies should position themselves for success? Who wants to start?
Oh,
Juan
okay.
Carlos.
You got the
Um,
startup. You're the startup.
well, yeah. I mean, I can tell you what's worked for us, but there's no formula. There's no secret, right? Um, and But I think that your attitude and being, prepared, the team, the people you work with, your business partner, very important. People you can trust. Um, I sometimes there's different types of leaderships. Um, what works for me is I like to lead by example. That's why when we started operating in Colombia, we had all this business plan. We are going to hire people, and a country manager, and salespeople, and operations people, and have this whole the structure and overhead, and maybe even an office. I'm like, Jesus, man, why would we do that? How much money are we going to spend? And what if it doesn't work? Because this is a high risk company. We do things that are difficult, and that can have like huge returns, but maybe not. It's, and nobody knows. So, and that's when I decided to just, I'll do it. And maybe that further down the line, we can hire people and train them and teach them, but no one's going to do it as you do it when it's your company, right? You can inspire people and you can teach people, and skills can be taught, obviously. But there's something also about character, right? So so if you're in sales, people have a skill, but they also have a certain character. Like what you said before, Sia, that you sit across the table from somebody and you're looking at their nonverbal expressions and what their demeanor, and it communicates. It says things about what they're feeling. You know, you need to pick up on that, and not only pick up on that, counter it.
Yep.
Like, try to take it where we need to go. Maybe you don't understand. Maybe I'm not expressing myself adequately, but this is a win-win situation, and that has to do with, I don't know, psychology, emotions, experience, has a lot of things to do with that. And people can learn that, but the best way to learn, in my experience, is with, experience, is putting things to the test. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah, I'm the experience thing's 100% right, and I think a couple things that I think I learned along the way was you have to realize nobody else is going to do the things you do the way you do it. That took me forever to comprehend and to absorb and to pivot from. And it just took, and it only happened through experience. You keep telling people, no, you got to do it this way. And you realize they just can't do that. And then somebody close to me once told me, he goes, listen, if you're going to hire somebody and you're going to pay somebody, you don't tell them how to do something. You tell them what you need done, and you
Exactly.
let them go do it. And it took me a second to really kind of like really understand it, because like I was really good at sales. So I was like, just do it the way I'm doing it. It works. So look, here are my numbers. It works. Some people can't do that. Some people aren't comfortable having conversations about certain subjects. Like, I don't care what it is. You want to talk about the moon? You want to talk about business? You want to talk about girlfriends? I can talk about anything you want. Not everybody has that. So you have to realize is like, all right, so you have to take a step back. And once you got to start identifying what their skill sets are and then trying to maximize their skill sets. And then the other thing that made it different for me is, and especially with when you're working with people, you said it best. You have to lead by example. I don't think there's anybody in this office that thinks I would ask them to do something that I have not done or have not done in front of them. One of the hardest things to do is to go knock on a random door, pick up the phone, and make a random phone call. I do that with them whenever they'll let me. I'll go do that with them, and it's to show them that if I'm going to do it, there's no excuse for you not to do it. And you see that this is just the expectation. It's kind of, you set the expectation with your actions. So once they saw that, they're like, okay, I can do this. I should be doing this. It works. And then finally, you have to show them that you have their back, that you have their best interests in mind. And for me, the way that works is you got to find out what are their personal goals? What are they trying to do? And then how can you help them reach those goals by working here with you? And it's with you, not for you. Anytime you mix up those two words, you'll see you go from a leader to a manager, and you never want to be a manager. You want to help lead them. You're working with them. No, I never say you work for me. You work with me, because the reason for that is realistically we're a small company. We all work with each other. We all need each other to be successful. If Gabby isn't doing what Gabby's doing for us, we can't be successful. If I'm not doing what I'm doing, then Gabby can't be. It's everything's intertwined so close that we always have to remember we work with each other, not for each other.
Oh, it's so true. It's true, and it's hard to build like a company culture, when you are remote.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have this lead by example characteristic, people gravitate to that. People like that. People like, dude, if Sia can do it, I can do it. And if he's pushing me forward to do this, it's because he thinks I could do it as well. So you're like projecting a little bit of confidence, because everything takes confidence. And if you don't take risks, and risk, again, failing, you're not going to win anything. So, I mean, it's hard to a lot of people. There's a lot of people. Obviously, people believe different things, but there's a lot of people that just want to go to work, want to cash your check, too. They just want to go home, watch TV. Just that's all I want to do, and it's fine. But if at Room Beast, if that's your attitude, you just don't belong here. You just don't, because I don't care your beliefs, your preferences. I I mostly when I interview every single person that we hire at this company. I don't care if I'm never going to talk to them again because I'm doing different things. It's not like I'm at Mount Olympus or something. No, it's just operation wise. There's people that I have, and I'm the only one out of Chile. Everybody's in Chile. I'm the only one that's not in Chile. So, for example, today is it's the Chilean Independence Day. It's today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow is a holiday. It's the most important holiday in Chile. It's the best time of the year in Chile. Everybody's having a party, drinking wine, eating barbecue, and here I am, enjoying my time with you, working with my clients in Colombia because it's what I have to do. And I am so honored that you guys invited me to speak about my company, right? Because at some point in time, nobody really cared. Nobody really cared. Nobody wanted to hear your story. Is it a sob story? I said, nobody really cares. So, and that is something very important also when you're driving a business forward. I mean, not many people want you to succeed, and that's the truth. And you have to treat it as such. It's I always, I tell the people who work with me, Gonzalo, my business partner, I treat this like war. And if we gained an inch in Chile with our business model, we gotta guard it and keep it and not let anybody get there. And now we're in Colombia and we'll do the same. We'll add value, but every inch that we move forward, we gotta take care of that. We cannot lose it. And treat it like if it were, like if you were basically colonizing with your business model, right? It's a bad word, it's like a nasty word nowadays, but it's like evangelizing, so to speak, showing a country, an industry that there's a different way to do this business, that you can make more money, that you can, have people investing their time, adding value and other things, and let technology do that for you. And you will make more money, and people will be happier and doing things that what they feel that it's doing something that's productive and not picking up the phone to do something mechanic, which is, driving them crazy. And they hate their job for that. So it's
Right.
something that, even though it's tech, even though all of the region, all of Latin America has the same problem, and it's been working like that for ages. It's part of the challenge to to teach, not to teach them, but to like educate. I don't know if it's an adequate word, but to show them that there's a different way to do things, and if you just try it, you'll see how good it is. So yeah,
Yeah.
you have to
Yep.
be kind of stubborn. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Zia and Juan Carlos, thank you so much. We have a lot of questions, and I'm pretty sure people are very, very excited to ask you. Gabby, did you want to go ahead and let's just start with the questions?
Yes, thank you for that insightful discussion, guys. We have a lot of questions, so I'm more than happy. I suppose this one is from both of you. So, have you faced any challenges specific to recruiting in LATAM, and how did you overcome them?
I guess I'll take that one just because yes would be the answer. Very much yes. So it's two sided, right? So right now we're seeing a major shift in the American hiring standard and what we're trying to do. And what we're seeing is more and more companies are getting interested in hiring Latin American talent. Now, a lot of that has to do is because they're very close and they're on par with American talent, but they're also very inexpensive in comparison to what the American rates are. And it has to do with cost of living. But what we're seeing is, so one here, we can run a background check pretty quick. There's tons of companies here that run a background check. In South America, there really isn't any good
Mhm.
ways to do that. So we're not 100% sure all the time. Um, Sometimes language barrier is a little tricky. I know one of the main all of our clients ask for the same thing, like, hey, English has to be at least an 8 out of 10. And sometimes I look at them, I'm like, I don't even know if mine's an 8 out of 10, but sure, we can try. Um, and the other thing really comes down to is something that we're all doing right now is cameras. A lot of people think because they're remote, they don't have to turn on the camera. And I'm like, and a lot of American companies now are starting to pivot to, and you guys know on my calls, every camera's on. I don't play that game because if I don't see your face, I'm not interacting with you. At
Exactly.
that point, I might as well just pick up a phone and call you. It's if you're able to do those things, it'll be easier. It's a little different. It's very different process. Finding talent has not been the issue. Convincing more and more American companies to take that chance has been a little tricky until they get their first one and they're like, why haven't I been doing this sooner? So that's what we've seen, but it's been a pleasant experience for us.
Good. Thank you, Sia. Joanna is asking, hi Juan and Sia from Michigan. How does your business look different now versus when you first started?
Oh, okay. It looks, in many aspects, it looks very different, but in some aspects, it's just the same. And what aspect is the same? We're basically the same people, the same team. We brought a couple of people more on, but we were able to, start operations in two markets simultaneously with not that much, one or two people in operations. And what we did have to do at some point was, it wasn't a complete pivot of the business model, but it was like a complement to the original business model. What happened was that we only had a business model that was based on a SaaS, on a software as a service, and we only catered to industry specific companies such as airlines or agencies or wholesalers or OTAs. Basically, companies that sell hotels in their core business. But what happened during the pandemic is that hotels were desperate to sell. So we found that hotels started uploading crazy rates in our system and a crazy amount of inventory. So at some point we had, I think it was around 20 million room nights to distribute at these super competitive rates. I mean, 20, 25, 30% cheaper than what you would see in Booking or Expedia or sites like that. Obviously, because we cater to the B2B segment. So it's a different ballgame, right? And that's when we started our marketplace, which was basically distribution of room nights in an online system, but we catered specifically to companies that need a hotel at some point in their life, which is basically every company on earth. So that really opened everything up. And being able to see that opportunity and take it, because it's very risky when one of your clients might look at you and think, "Hey, man, are you competing with me?" And it's like, no, I'm not competing with you. I know who your clients are. I mean, I can knock on their door if I wanted to. I'm looking to the other 8 million companies that you will never approach and never get to because you can't do it. And I'll, bring incremental sales for you because if it's your rate, RoomBeast, it, works with rates that are uploaded either directly to RoomBeast via third-party integrations or the rates our clients use in their SaaS. So if our clients has super rates, we bring incremental sales just by having those rates uploaded in RoomBeast. So everybody wins. Hotels win, the owner of the rate wins, and we win because we connect and synergize the whole company. So I mean the whole market. So that was at some point it was a hard conversation, but it worked out pretty well.
That's impressive, Juan. Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
love this question, Sia. What advice will you give to startups looking to build a team with limited resources?
Mm. So I would say almost every startup has limited resources. So, because I mean, when Carlos was talking about that, he's like, wait, why am I going to open an office and do all this? It costs all this money to do that. So, what you want to do is you want to be creative with what you can do. Solicit as much free advice, free help as you can get. If you're trying to start a business, you probably have friends. Try to build at least the foundation on your own or with minimal resource use. Because when you're able to do that, you're keeping your costs down. You'd want to give up as little bit equity as possible early on, because all you're doing is you're going to hurt yourself when it's time to make an equity. So what you want to do is you want to find people that they can see the future. They believe in the company as much as you do, and they are coming in for more. So maybe they'll come in up front with like no cost, and they're like, you'll be like, hey, I'll give you like 1% and this is what our vision is. You don't have to work here full time. Do this on the side. Do this as a side hustle. Help me grow it when you have time to grow it while you're still doing this full time. And then what you're going to start seeing is if they believe in the product, if they believe in what you're doing as much as you do, one, it's going to take off, and it's also going to attract other like-minded people. Then you've really built something special because you have all believers. Like the worst part of I was spent 8 years, 15 years in corporate America. Nobody cares. Like you said it earlier, you're like they're just there, they go through the motions, they get their check and they get the hell out of there. It's
Exactly.
you know what I mean? That's not the people you wanted to start. Startup is people that drink, eat, breathe, sleep that vision because they believe in it, because they know there's something huge at the end of the tunnel. That's a lot of what we have here. Like I believe in what we're doing here and I think it's going to be awesome. I know what our vision is. I know what we want to do. And I spend a lot of hours trying to figure out how to do it. We try new things all the time. And by doing that, hopefully, it's going to work out. But you have to find like-minded people. You have to find people who share that vision with you. You do that. I mean, but hell, what do I know? I mean, we should probably be asking this guy. He started this from scratch, right? So this is probably the guy I'd be asking.
Well, I mean, what you said is completely true. And people, I mean, this is going to sound kind of stupid, but it's really the truth. Everybody needs money, right? Everybody needs money to pay rent, to live, buy groceries, whatever, right? To pay your cell phone. But when I started the company, I was in desperate need for money, but I was in desperate need for something to do. And that's when I realized that when you do things for money, exclusively for money, it's very frustrating because you always, there's somebody that's going to be making more money than you, or, is going to have nicer stuff. And if that's your sole focus, I mean, it's great to have, all sorts of cool stuff, right? But there has to be some meaning to what you do. There has to be some inspiration to what you do. I mean, as I mentioned before, just you guys having me here is great because you guys, want to listen to what I have to say. And at some point, nobody cared. So it just goes to show that motivations in life, at what point in life you are at, might change. And there's nothing bad. There's nothing wrong with that, right? You just have to be able to get out of your comfort zone, right? Because, for example, when I spoke to VCs, which I spoke to a lot, it's just like any sale. Just like any sale, you have to knock on 100 doors, and everyone is going to tell you, how inadequate you are, how, part of my language, how shitty your business is. You don't know how to pitch. The guy that just walked out is a lot better than you are. I mean, we're going to give the money to him. So you got to deal with rejection, struggling at the same time with what am I going to do with the company? And there's the pandemic, and then there's all these things in here. So it takes a lot of resilience. And when you get through, I mean, when you feel that, when I started the company with Gonzalo, I felt that I really had nothing else left to lose. And if you are at that point in life, which is a hard place to be at, but you can get out of it, you're going to learn a lot. You're going to learn a lot about yourself, the people that surround you, the people that care about you, the people that don't care about you. So it's a moment of a lot of revelations and epiphanies and all sorts of really cool stuff. But you have to, have a strong head and I assume a strong heart to just go on, right? So that sounded like the Titanic song. So yeah, I mean, at the end, everybody is pushing something. I mean, if you get up out of your bed and you have a family and you go out and provide for them and you do that, kudos. I take my hat off to you. But when you have to deal with different markets, different laws, different taxes, different what people believe in, different, how they relate to each other. Because, for example, in Chile, we're like, very straightforward. Let's go, man. We got to do this. You got to do that. I'll do this. Let's go. That's like the mindset of Chilean entrepreneurs, is, and all the companies that have come out of my country, attest to that, right? But in other countries, it's like, hey, man, just pump the brakes. Let's take it a little bit slower. You don't know how it works here. Here, it's a bit different. You got to do all this. Let's go and have some drinks, which is classic in Latin America. Let's go have something to eat. Let's have some drinks. Let's get to know each other first and see if we can do business. And I'll be glad to do that. But I mean, it shouldn't be a requirement to do business, right? I don't have to like you, and you don't have to like me to do business, right? Hopefully, everybody likes each other and it's all harmonious and beautiful. But the business world isn't like that, man. Isn't like that, man. Sometimes somebody's going to be on your side, and at some other point, he may not be on your side. And that's the way the business goes. So, it's a lot of fun, and but you also have to be prepared to sometimes not have that much fun, right? And sometimes it's not going to be fun.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thank you, Juan and Sia. Here from Nat says, I'm wondering if you heard about Amazon News moving all its team back to the office to increase productivity from January 2025. Do you think this strategy is appealing to startups that want to move forward in the line?
Wow, that's a good question. Startups function as a startup till they don't. At some point, they just get too bloated or too big, or maybe egos or too much money, and then they start functioning like other companies. Um, at Roombys, we're 16 people, and that is a challenge. Imagine what 160 or 1600 or 106. I mean, I can only imagine, what that would be like. And there's obviously companies in some industries that have to be, there. You have to be there. You have to be there. And this is very important. Even though my company is 100% remote and we only get together when there's something to celebrate, like, at the end of the year, and we have a couple of drinks and all that, which we gladly do. We do it in this state, for the independence and at the end of the year. Unfortunately, I'm here and they're over there, but I know yesterday they had a lot of fun. But at the end, you have to try to. It's all about momentum, I guess, and taking advantage of what's at hand. I don't know. I guess big companies function in different ways. I don't think I would ever be capable of running a really big company. I mean, it's very political too, man. I mean, it's in small companies like mine, people like deal with your personality. I used to work. I was an employee for all my life, and I had a lot of people with a lot of problem with people with like the way um, I handle myself, and it's the truth. Because I was very aggressive. I was good at sales. I wanted to make the deal. I saw other people that were not that aggressive and were not making the deals, and I just wanted to, I just wanted to go. Said, let me go. I was like, no, you can't go because it's like, and that, generates all sorts of problems and short circuits, and you end up being like maybe even like a bad influence, like a bad apple in a company if you're. But that's, what, a little bit of what you mentioned before. See, there's certain industries where you're like, it's just cutthroat, nobody cares. But there's always like, hey man, watch out for their feelings sometimes. That's something that you hear a lot today. Well, I was like, dude, take it, it's like, I just want to make the deal. I just want to make more money, and the company's going to make more money, and you hired me for this. I'm supposed to do this. So yeah, it's but in my company, people put up with me and Gonzalo because they know that we founded the company. It's different. But if I were like a CEO for a huge company, I probably can't do that. That's very difficult. Very, very difficult. I mean, and yeah, and at this point in my life, I don't know if I want to do that, right? So
That
Juan
sounds
Carlos,
way too familiar.
sorry.
Way too familiar, man.
Yeah.
yeah, we've all
Juan
been
Carlos
there.
and Sia, thank you so, so much for joining us today. We have left two questions, but guys, I think I shared with you the LinkedIn from Roombeast. If you want to follow them and see what they're doing
Thank
and
you.
to learn a little bit more about, the startup that Juan Carlos created and everything, just don't forget to follow it. Don't forget to follow us. We have more webinars coming soon every Wednesday. Well, we're going to try to do every Wednesday, but don't forget to follow us. We are at CTI Staffing on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Juan Carlos, again, thank you so much for sharing all your expertise. And we really want to appreciate your time and wishing you the best in this great company that and the changes that you are doing. And Zia,
Thank
as
you.
always, thank you so much for your advices, for your feedback, and everything related to the industry. Thank you, people, for joining today. And then I'll see you in the next webinar. Thank you, Gavi, and thank you all. Bye bye.
Awesome. And guys,
Thank
remember,
you.
if you're
Bye.
interested in Latin American talent, feel free to reach out to us.
Correct.
It's what we do, and we do
Correct.
a lot of it.
Correct.
Thank you
Thank you,
guys so
guys.
much.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.